I guess I'll start. So, hey guys, this is Matt,
I'm Freddie.
and you're watching This and That with
Freddie.
and Matt. So today we have a very, very special guest, a guy that I've known, and we were just chatting about it before the intro here, for decades plus. This is Mark Briody from the legendary band Jag Panzer. So, Mark, say hi to everybody.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here. Looking forward to this conversation. This should be fun.
Yeah, yeah. So it's dude, it's been a really, really long time. Um, and you guys have just we obviously I'm friends of yours on Facebook, and I follow you guys and what you're doing now. And you've got a new record that you're working on, and you probably at this point you've got everything tracked, I guess.
Yeah,
and,
mixed and mastered.
and mixed.
Everything's done.
Nice. So give us a little insight, man. What do you got going on with it?
Well, we wrapped up our deal with SPV with the last album, and they sent us the follow-up contract. So let's do one more record. And I thought, well, let's just do the record first, and we'll see if there's any other label interests, and we'll just do this without a label's involvement. And that worked out pretty good. I mean, it was a little more expensive, but it's weird when you get a label involved and the label says you get X amount of money, I won't spend over that. I'm like, this is what we have to work with. But doing it on my own, it's like, hey, if we need an extra few $100 for this, yeah, let's just do it. Or if we want an additional photo session, let's just do it. I don't know why. It's probably me just being a weirdo, but
Well, it could be just you, maybe at this point in your life, just, having the means to do it and having that flexibility and that desire to do something you want to do, not because you have to do it or you feel like you're in that, in that restraint of having to do it. It's like you want to do it, you have the means, and do it the way you want to do it, right?
It felt like we were doing this for ourselves, not for a label. Because every other record we were doing for a label, and it always felt like, okay, we have to meet their time frames and their budget and everything based on their schedule. And I say this with no offense to SPV or anybody. It was really cool to be able to do it ourselves. So we decided to do a concept album because we had done once before, and it kind of takes my songwriting a little different direction. I have to think about the images in my head of the concept. I just think about it image wise and said, how can we do music to support that? Yeah. So we finished the songs and we decided to demo them all, and they came out really good. And I talked to my bandmates and I said, this is kind of a cool story. You guys want to do a comic book? Which was probably really stupid of me because I don't know anything about the comic book industry or anything. I know I like to read them. So hiring a comic book artist is not cheap, and it takes 6 months to do a whole comic book. So, but that's almost done now too. That's about 90% done. He's got 2 more pages to ink, then the comic book will be ready to go. So, awesome. There's going to be a comic book. There's going to be a hardbound book just based on questions people ask about the albums. People say, "What's it like a Moore sound?" So this time I took my camera down there and took a bunch of photos. I said, what's it like tracking drums? So I'm just going to put all that in a book. And, and I don't care about making a bunch of money on the book or anything. Just if I don't lose money, I'll be happy. And I'll just have a cool book to document the whole process.
Yeah, that's the way that, I think Freddie and I agree. That's the reason that we do Ashes is because we love doing it, and we're not in this making money. If we don't make money on it, that's okay, and that's pretty much been our experience. We don't make money. The money that we get from our label, we put back into the record. We obviously want the best quality product at the end of the day as we can give to the listeners, because they're the ones who we're doing it for. We wouldn't. We write music for ourselves to that self gratification of writing and doing all that. But at the same time, if you don't have an audience, what's the point, right? So, man, it's I definitely dig that, and that's a very noble thing, and I think people will definitely, especially your fans, will appreciate that. You've been doing this for a long time. You crank out quality music, man, and people understand that and realize that. So, Yeah, that's awesome. I really look forward to that. Are you going to try to do like a package with the comic and the record, or do something along those lines? What's your vision anyway?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question, because there's definitely a difference between my vision and reality. And, oh, let me change course for one brief second here. If it's disarming, I'm missing a front tooth that I lost snorkeling. Which, like, I mean, who loses a tooth snorkeling? Come on.
What,
I was
did
in
the
the
fish,
ocean.
the
and
fish punch you or something?
I saw an eel, and I'm checking out this eel because who doesn't want to see an eel? And I feel the water raising, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then water drops and smacks my face against a rock.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm just bringing it up because people see it in conversation, and I have to tell people, look, I don't do math and I don't play ice hockey. So I can't use one of those two excuses.
I do one of those.
Right. Freddie does one of those. You have to guess which one, though.
Okay, so back to shopping the record, back to, yeah, I would like to shop the whole package, comic book, because I'd like to package the comic book with the vinyl. I'm told, however, from people a lot more knowledgeable than me, that you should shop the record first. Shop the music, get a label interested in the music, show them the cover, because the cover's done, the music's done, mastered, band photos done, show them all that. And then if you got a label interested and things are working out good, then package something with the comic book.
Sure. Well, maybe, and that may be the thing that they do is they pay for, help you pay for those costs of the comic as part of their promotion. I mean, that's all stuff that they can write off and all that. I mean, it all comes back to us anyway, or the consumer. But it's just a interesting way of probably accounting, for them. But yeah, that's cool, man. But even so, if you can hold on to something like that with the way that shipping is now, and the way that things can be done, you may be able to find out a really good way to really make your money back on that, because I know it's got to be expensive to do that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. But kudos to you for the vision of that, man, and supporting the record with visuals and stuff, because that's, at the end of the day, I think that's really important to fans, man. And you guys, like I said, you guys have cranked out quality product for decades, and that's awesome.
I hope metal, I think they will, but I hope metal fans will like the concept. I don't want to give a lot away about it, but it's not political, it's not social. It's what I grew up with. I really liked adventure movies when Ray Harryhausen was doing the effects, like Jason and the Argonauts and things. I mean, I love that sort of thing. So this concept is a straight up adventure, and it's got a lot going on. And the lyrics are written from one specific point of view, and the comic book is from the opposite point of view.
Oh,
so
cool.
You're going to get the same events, and you can follow along in the comic book. And I've bolded sections of the lyrics in the comic book. So, I know where I'm at in the album, but hey, I'm seeing two different points of view here for the same event.
Nice.
Neat.
Fantastic.
Really neat. Yeah.
Do you mind sharing who the artist is?
Yeah, it's Dusan Markovic is the one that did the cover. And I actually don't know the comic book artist's name. He just goes by, a made up online name.
Okay.
But he told me he's done several comic books. I auditioned about 5 guys, and I liked this guy's artwork. None of them were cheap. They weren't. Everybody always said, you can find this young artist. They'll be really good. They'll do it for cheap. Yeah, I've never been able to find that.
Yeah.
So this guy it's going to end up inking the whole comic book. Is it going to end up costing me about $5,500? So I don't know if that's expensive or high. I just know for the amount of time he spent, it seems reasonable, and for the work he's done.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of, and it could be an artist that maybe they're going under a different pen name because they've got a contract with another label, with some publishing company or something. So, it's all good, man. It doesn't really matter what the name is attached to it, I guess, as long as it's awesome artwork, and that's awesome. So. Anyway, Freddie, I don't know if did you have any technical or guitar questions? Guitar-oriented questions for Mark?
Well, we were later. I was going to look at this young comic book artist we have here in Arizona. His name's Todd McFarlane, but I think he might be a little more than 5,500. I don't know.
Yeah.
A little bit.
But anyway, Mark, you guys came to Arizona to record, right? Is that true?
Yeah, we did drums and bass at Ken Mary's studio.
Oh,
in
cool.
Phoenix.
Cool.
Yeah, and Ken was great. We had this is the first time we did it like this. You know, we were just going to do drums there, and our bass player said, "Hey, do you mind if I tag along and just play along with them?" And I said, "Yeah, that's cool," because those two guys never record together for some reason. Yet they've been playing together for decades.
Wow.
So then, you know, we talked to Ken and we talked to our bass player and drummer, and we said, "Hey, if these tracks come out good, let's just keep them. So let's get a real bass tone there," which didn't take long, 15 minutes or so. I mean, our bass player's got good gear and a good player. So that took about 15 minutes, and he nailed the parts. So he finished the drum parts. I mean, he finished the bass parts the same time we finished the drum parts, and then they got a really cool feel to them.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, and Ken, I've heard great things about Ken's studio too. I mean, he's
it's
a player
nice.
himself, obviously, but wow. And then you guys had, I saw you guys had Jim Morris do the mixing and stuff, right? So
We had wanted Jim to do the last record, but there was a time period where More Sound didn't exist because they lost a lot of the equipment in the robbery. Then they sold the studio, but so now he's got More Sound. People call it More Sound 2.0, but it's actually More Sound 3.0. That's open now, and it's really cool. It looks like it's got kind of a steampunk thing going on. It looks like the Nautilus. I think Matt pointed out. It does.
Yeah.
I mean,
it looks amazing.
They have lights in there that look like they're underwater. I mean, and they did all that on purpose. It's really cool in there. So yeah, we were down there with Jim Morris mixing it, and Jim's really cool to work with. And we've been doing records with Jim. I think we did the first one, I think like 26 years ago with him.
Wow. Yeah. So it's the same location though, or it's just revamped?
I think it's about 6 miles away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, different location.
Yeah, I was wondering because I'm going back to Tampa and I want to drive by the old one, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, the old one's on 56th, and I think this one's on 9th.
Oh, okay. Now, so do you guys do you all live in Colorado?
No, I live in Colorado Springs where the band was formed, and our bass player lives almost 2 hours away. He lives in Golden, where Coors is from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how close he lives to. I think he lives between Coors and Red Rocks or somewhere around there. And nobody else. Our singer Harry lives in Greece.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And everyone else is in Phoenix.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that.
Cool.
Rickard's around there, and the last time that we were there, that we did which was years ago. I wanted to get up with him, and I just it didn't happen. So, but yeah, I mean, definitely Freddie and Rickard should probably get together and at least have a beer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they're in the same. Cool. They're in the same area. So just look for the big Viking, Freddie.
He's very Viking looking. He's got his beard is almost down to his waist now. I know. Wow. We played Sweden Rock in 2019 before COVID, and ZZ Top was there, and Billy Gibbons looks over at Rickard and strokes his beard and points to Rickard. Rickard said, "I got beard approval. I got beard approval from Billy Gibbons."
Yeah,
that's an honor, man.
Yeah, that's the be all end all. He doesn't have to be approved by anybody else at this point.
A couple people at the festival working the show came up to him and said, "You have the third longest beard in all of Sweden Rock." He said, "Yes."
Yeah. Next time he gets first place.
Yeah, good stuff, man. It's funny. We were talking to Brent lately, and he said, by the way, he says hi. And
tell him I said hey. Brent's super cool.
Yeah, and we were talking about all the time that we spent on the road with you guys, because we were label mates at one point with Century Media, and sharing buses and whatnot, man. Just like some of the best times that you can remember, just like
they were great, yeah.
Hanging with the guys, man. Harry just being Harry and being as funny as can be, man. One of the funniest dudes and most inappropriate guys at times as well. The only other person that I could think that might out inappropriate Harry is probably Troy Seeley. which we've had on the show as well. Troy is just like one of those guys.
Yeah.
He'll just drop some bombs sometimes and just crack everybody up. So, but yeah, man, you know, just really, really special times in my mind, as far as, you know, sharing the stage with you guys and sharing, you know, buses and, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy to believe that it's been so long, but, you know, a decade or a couple decades. But,
Yeah.
you know, but it's also awesome to see that, you know, you guys are still doing it. You know, you guys are still doing what you love. You know, we're doing it, in our own, you know, certainly in our own way and how we can. And, you know, it's a beautiful thing. So.
Yeah, there's lots of camaraderie on those tours. I really like that. Those are the kind of tours that you have when you're a kid, that you think it's going to go like that, which we all know it doesn't always go like that. But those
Yeah.
tours were a lot of cooperation, a lot of camaraderie. Yeah, those were fun tours.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, just, the you know, the friend, you know, just everything being friendly, but the professionalism as well. And, you know how it was on our, we were, you know, all of us, we were all business, man, when it came to doing music, but we, you know, when we were off stage, it was just fun, you know, but there's a certain, you know, respect and honor among bands that have that kind of, you know, professionalism. And, you know, you goof off when it's time to goof off, but you're pro as well. And that's just something that was really important for me. I mean, I got into, you know, professionally doing music later, I think, than you guys did, because you were like, what, 18, man, 18, 19 or something, whenever you guys.
We got our first record deal. I just turned 17.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. I mean, that's just something that you just don't see a lot of, but amazing, you know. And again, it shows you, hey, you know, how pro you were at a very young age, and being able to crank out, you know, quality music, man. I mean, you know, because your first record is still one of the, you know, most beloved among, you know, metal fans, and they're just, you know, for you to crank out that kind of quality that still holds up today at 17, man, that's unbelievable. So
It's funny,
you know.
back then I couldn't give that record away. Yeah, we had done the record for a small US label, and I was really proud of the record. I thought this is really great, and I was really into tape trading, and a lot of people were telling me, oh, this is a great album. And our record company called me up saying, look, I only have the rights for the US. You should get a European deal. And I said, okay. So I packaged it off to every European label, and all of them said no. No,
Yeah.
there's no market for this. And so then I wrote back and said, look, I'll just give you the license here. Just take it, come out with it. And that was still a no.
That's crazy, man.
And so, you know, I get people now saying, oh, well, you know, from that first release, you should have been much bigger now. And I said, no, you weren't around at that first release then. It didn't catch on for about 6 years.
Right. Yeah, but it's still nuts. But when
Yeah.
it did, it did, and it's
Yeah.
like it was just a flow. So I mean, so you were basically ahead of your time.
Yeah. And I think now it's on its 12th repressing. I mean, yeah,
Right.
it's crazy now, but yeah, ahead of its time.
Yeah.
I'll have to remember that one.
Well, yeah, you know, it's all about marketing, man. It's all about how to market the album that was ahead of its time.
And that was what, 81 it came out?
Beginning of 83. We recorded
83,
it in mid 82. And I remember back then the biggest metal magazine was Metal Forces. I mean, it ruled the metal world. And I read it cover to cover, and they ranked that album 15th for that month. So I have people now tell me, oh, that must have been album of the year. No, it was 15th for May. And it was, they gave it a sort of middle of the pack. And it was interesting because their first sentence in the review is, this is not thrash. And thrash was dominant new music at the time.
Right.
And
well,
they said, this is not it.
And that's you know, and that's kind of the weird thing about it, man. But you know, I would venture to guess that your that record and subsequent records were very influential to the European sound, because you had a, you know, kind of almost that cutting edge. Yeah, you're definitely, you know, American metal, but you had some definite European influence in there. At least that's the sound that I gather from it. So I think that you probably inspired a lot of European metal bands. My guess. I don't know. I obviously I can't confirm that. but it definitely, I've always heard it that way anyway. So.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, I have musicians tell me that, which, I mean, that's always great to hear that, you know, you guys were a big influence. And yeah, my influences were all the underground British bands back then, starting from when I was 16, like Angel Witch and Witchfind and the first Iron Maiden record and Motorhead and
Yeah.
all those bands. I mean, I liked the American bands. I just, in this area, Colorado Springs growing up, it was Van Halen, Foreigner, Boston, nonstop, 24/7, everywhere on everybody's radio. And I'm like, dude, I just heard enough of this. And even back then I said, look, I'm not saying it's bad or anything. I know everybody loves it. It's just, I've had my fill of this. I want to play something a little different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's really important, but at the same time, you're one of the people that, and I love this, that you do this because you put on your page, on your Facebook page, a lot of, you know, bands that probably influenced you somehow or some way back in those days, but you didn't pay as much attention. And it's same with me. You know, I mean, I know that these things influenced me, but they're not necessarily metal, but they're just things that influence. And now you have a little bit more respect for them. You know, kind of looking back and go, okay, well, I didn't give this its credit back then, but I'm doing it now because you know it obviously had an influence. You know, and I can look at that. I can look back and go, you know, man, thinking of like all of the Southern rock bands, you know, stuff like, you know, just, you know, top of my head, because it was really big when I was a kid growing up, you know, Blackfoot, you know, Leonard Skinner, Mount Hatchet and stuff like that. I didn't realize how much that stuff probably influenced, you know, my musical direction and the way I deliver lines and things like that. But, you know, you have to. And even outside of that, just pop music of the time. So yeah, it's cool, man. And I do appreciate that about your post, man. You know, I do, you know, obviously follow you on Facebook and stuff, and it's cool that you do that.
So I was going to ask you about, and Matt brought up the guitars and the technical stuff. What's your weapon of choice? And, you know, do you use the same thing live as you do in the studio? Because, you know, I don't, but some people do.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. My weapon of choice for recording has always been a Fender Telecaster.
Oh.
Just think they sound great.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, no, nobody can. Everybody, you know, I get people guess my gear all the time, and they're always way off base.
Wow.
Somebody a couple weeks ago said, "Yeah, I'm listening to your Jag Panzer records. I can definitely hear those EMGs." And I said, "Really? I've never used EMGs. I mean, there's lots of guys with great guitar tones with EMGs, but I'm not one of them."
Yeah.
It's like I've heard guys that get the tone with EMGs. I'm like, man, that sounds great. And then they'll hand me the guitar and I'll play it and wonder if some kind of magic trick just happened in between us, because it sounds terrible in my hands and great in theirs. So the guitar that sounds good to me is I have I guess it's about 11-year-old Fender Telecaster now. I've always had a Telecaster. This one's about 11 years old, and it's got some fairly hot bare knuckle pickups in it. And I just get a good sound out of that guitar. I don't play it live. I don't want to take it on the road. I'm always afraid of having to replace it. So I play ESPs live, and I did use them on the album too. It's sort of, I play the Eclipse, which is a single cut like a Les Paul, and that's a good guitar. And it's their higher end of their import line, so it's nothing really expensive in case, because I've had guitars lost. I've had them stolen, and so I don't want to take a $5,000 Les Paul out on the road. So it's a $900 guitar, and they sound really good. They're a great bargain for the money.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So that's what I'm playing, and I did do a couple tracks with my ESPs on the album, but about 85-90% of it was a Fender Telecaster.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because I'm kind of the opposite. I record with ESP, well, LTDs. So, but I record everything with my LTDs, but then live I'll use BC Rich because they just look freaking cool, you know.
They do look great, yeah.
They sound good, but you know, I got to jazz it up a little bit. So, and yeah, there's some of those guitars that I'll record with, but I don't want it out in public because I don't want to scratch on it, you know, anything.
I've always loved BC Riches. I never owned one. I went to buy one when I was 18. I called up in Denver. I went to all my dealers in Colorado Springs. Nobody had them. Called a place in Denver, North Denver. So it was about a 2-hour drive for me. And they said, we got this BC Rich. they have the BC Rich Mockingbird, and they told me the color, and I found that color in a Guitar Player magazine. I'm like, oh, I want it. And I said, we're going to have to go over the price. I'm a kid. I'm getting changed from my couch here. We're going to have to nail down the price. So we nailed down the price, and I drove up there to get it. And they said, oh, yeah, and it'll be $55 extra for tax. I'm like, I don't have it. Well, can you get it from your mom? Well, she's not here. Look, I'm right here right now. I have this amount of money. I have like $1,271.85 that we talked about. The 85 cents I borrowed from my buddy here. And that's all I have. And yeah, it's kind of sad. I may have been a BC Rich player, but he wouldn't cut loose on, and he really wasn't giving me that great a price anyway. So I think
that's
wow. So that didn't happen.
That seems pretty rich for a kid, man. That seems pretty rich for a kid.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think I saved for 3 months for that to get that BC Rich, and I probably should have mailed ordered it. I don't know. I just grew up in a household where my dad's like, you should buy local if you can, support your local merchants. So this was a local to Colorado. It was a mom and pop shop in Denver. Figured, okay, I'll support them, and instead of trying to mail order a BC Rich, and it just didn't work out. And I actually needed a guitar because I had sold the one guitar I had the day before. So then I bought a Dean then, and so never played BC Riches, but I always thought they looked great.
So that 2-hour drive back home must have been
sucked.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, I was. I really, I asked them if they could I said, just let me get the guitar. I'll pay you this extra tax next month, or I'll do something. But I guess they didn't know me or anything. So
yeah. Wow.
Well, they're hating themselves now. I guarantee it.
Yeah, definitely. So
hey, I have just from a guy who doesn't really play guitar other than just goofing around in here. So because you're saying you record all your stuff with a Tele, but you wouldn't necessarily play the Tele live, and I get that, because then you'd look like Steve Miller. But not that that's a bad thing. But is part of it just the way that it feels when you're playing, not necessarily the sound, but how you feel like you can technically attack the what you're playing for recording? Is that part of it? Or because I'm
not a big fan of the balance of it live. It's sort of they're a fairly thick body and Telecasters are longer scale, so they don't balance like a Les Paul. You would think they would. They're about this. My Telecaster is pretty heavy, but it doesn't balance well. It's a little uncomfortable, and honestly, the audience didn't like seeing it. And I'd like to be able to tell you I don't care what an instrument looks like on stage, but it's probably about 25% of it. And the fact that I was getting people coming up to me after every gig, and my Telecaster looks like a country guitar. It's not like an all black, like it's not metalified at all.
Yeah.
So I did take it on one tour. Yeah, and people didn't like it. A lot of people are, I don't like you playing a Telecaster. It looks goofy. That looks stupid. And I was blowing that off for a while, for about 6 days. I don't care what anybody thinks, but it just it was distracting always hearing about it.
Yeah.
And it's not comfortable. Enough. Yeah, and it's not comfortable live, and it's an expensive guitar. It was the top of the line Fender USA when I bought it. So all those reasons combined equal don't take the Tele on the road.
Yeah. We need to end guitar shaming today.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even care what anybody else plays, which is really weird, but that's just me. I don't look at a band and go, I really like the set, but he's playing a D'Angelico.
I'd be like the opposite. Holy crap, he's playing a Tele and it sounds like that.
Yeah, that's what I would think. But
Color me impressed.
I had maybe one person the whole tour say that. The response was far more negative.
Yeah. It is what it is, man. Yeah, you gotta get a little flashier.
Yep.
And if you don't mind me asking, where were you snorkeling? We're jumping
I was in Curacao. Have you ever been there or heard of it?
I have not. I've heard of the I put blue curacao in my drinks once in a while.
And that is from that island. It's incredible. It's 30 miles off of Venezuela, but it's not related to Venezuela. It used to be a Dutch protectorate, so it was Dutch. They speak English there. They take the dollar. It's really inexpensive. It's from one tip of the island to the other is, I think, 12 miles, and there's 35 white sand, pristine beaches. I mean, pristine. The snorkeling is incredible. There's fish everywhere, jam-packed with fish. They have no documented shark attacks ever there. In fact, everybody, the locals I talked to, none of them have ever seen one.
Huh.
I would talk to someone, hey, did you ever see a shark? Well, I saw one on Shark Week last week. And the water's like bathwater warm. So you can snorkel anywhere. We would be downtown shopping, and I would see guys turn to his wife or girlfriend, hey, hold my bag, and then they just dive in and snorkel because the ocean is right there everywhere.
Wow.
Is it pretty safe
amazing.
there and safe getting there?
Yeah, safe. It's a 3-hour flight from Miami. It's cheap. I mean, we stayed at the most expensive place. I think it's the second most expensive. There's some weird super upscale place that we didn't go to, but we stayed in the second most expensive resort on a beach, and it was like $180 a night.
Jeez.
Nice.
I'm gonna spend way more than that when I go to freaking Tampa.
Which airline flies into there, Mark? Just curiosity.
Is it American? I'm not sure. It flies from Miami, and then I think it also flies from Charlottesville. I think there's just 2 flights to Curacao, but there's flights.
Charlottesville, really?
Yeah. Car rental, I just rented from a local Curacao company. It was $28 a day. Got a nice car. The 2 downsides, 'cause people say, what's the downside? Depends on what you care about. If you want the big fancy resorts, not there. If you want fast food, not there. There's not even a McDonald's on the island.
That's
fine. One
Perfect.
KFC.
One too many,
of course.
Yeah, one KFC. So all the restaurants we went to were all local. They got great restaurants there. They got great beer. People are super friendly. Everybody speaks English. They do have their own language that is not so much spoken there. Everybody at any hotel or restaurant, you have to speak English there.
Yeah. So they probably have this like I know I've been to Belize before, and they have like a strange Creole because that was Belize was under British rule or what have you for a long time, and they have their own crazy, like almost everybody speaks English there, but it's this weird Creole thing that they got going on. So I would imagine it's probably the same for the locals.
Their language is called Papiamento. And their word for anything good, beautiful, or great is douchey. So people were coming up to my girlfriend and I and telling us, you are the douchiest people on the island now.
Are you sure they weren't just messing with you?
Yeah.
Or I'd come out of the water and people point at me, you're looking douchey today. Very douchey.
Feeling douchey.
Looking good. Looking douchey, Billy Ray. Well, Matt, expect to hear douchey a lot now in our conversations.
Yes,
I expect it.
They do have the world's most dangerous tree there, though, and it's all over the place. This tree, if you burn it and inhale the fumes, you could die. If you eat an apple from it, you can die. If water hits it and drips on your skin, it's like acid. One of the locals told me that the pirates hundreds of years ago, if you were in trouble, they would chain you to this tree during a rainstorm and guys would be screaming.
Ooh.
So they were all over the place, and I didn't notice them until I was standing by one and someone said, hey, get away from that tree. And I'm like, what, does he own it or something? And then it just seemed like he's very hostile. Get away from the tree. And everybody there's usually very friendly. So I asked him, well, what's the deal? And he said, well, that's the manchineel tree. That's just stay away from it. So those are all over the place there.
Wow.
But they do have a little sign that's, you would think it would say just like stay away, but it just says manchineel tree. And it's got there's not even a skull on it or something. They need to do a better job of the signs.
Yeah, I would think so. This is lovely.
Put not douchey under the tree.
Not a douchey tree.
Not a douchey tree.
But my girlfriend bought me a shirt there that says that I am super douchey.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm gonna put that place on my list, especially because my wife's parents live in Charlottesville. So if we could just visit them and then fly straight from there, that'd be awesome.
Oh, it's a great trip. I mean, we loved it there. Everything, even the best beach we went to was one called Porto Marie, and the locals told me, yeah, it's a great beach, but it's private. It's expensive. Yeah, it was $3 each to get in. So that's their version. But you know, if you're local and there's 35 beaches and they're all great and 30 of them are free, yeah, the ones for $3 each are expensive.
Yep.
Do they have any rock clubs down there?
No, I didn't see any. I searched for metal bands there and I found one black metal band that hadn't done a gig for 3 years. But that it seems to be the most unmetal place in the world. I never saw a Metallica shirt or Iron Maiden shirt down there ever.
Just trying to figure out how we could get our band down there and as a tax write-off.
I've been trying that angle for the past couple of years. It's been racking my brain for a while now.
How about we do Douche Fest and get a bunch of bands down there?
Douche Fest with the douchiest metal bands in the world.
Wait, I have some ideas with that, but I know a couple of those, but I won't mention them now. Anyway, it's not. I will say this: it's not Ashes of Aries, and it's not Jag Panzer. So, yeah. So yeah. Well, that's a thing, you know, and we should probably start thinking of that. I know, like Freddie and I have thought of that for a couple years now, like how to just do a not really a festival, but basically just a hang for a bunch of bands that, you know, like each other and want to hang out and get a club and do a show and have, you know, just say, hey guys, we're going to be down at this island, so you guys fly in and hang out, and you know, we're not going to call it a festival, we're just going to call it a hangout and just
that's a
out.
great idea, because that sounds really fun and casual.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So and the pressure would be off. We would just need to figure out how to get a company that would be able to, you know, figure out a rider for the sound. But yeah, I think that would be a blast. So
yeah,
anybody
they have music festivals down there all the time, not rock or metal, but they definitely have the infrastructure. They have the sound man, the PA systems, everything down there.
Yeah. So, I mean, something like that, I think would be very cool if we weren't necessarily in it to make money, and just to have a good time and chat with people and kind of do our own thing. I think that would be cool. Not that there's anything wrong with people making money doing music. I get it.
Right.
You know, I understand the whole promotion thing, and it's important. But yeah, but sometimes it's really hard to get together the packages that you'd want to get together, and, you know, under the circumstances that you would want them in. But yeah, you know, we'll see, man. We'll definitely kick it around. If you'd be down for something like that, we'll start looking at things maybe.
Absolutely. Knock out another tooth or two, searching for heels.
Exactly.
Or maybe you'll find it.
Or find somebody's that would work, you know.
Something that'll fit.
You never know. Hey, so Mark, make sure that you you know, we'll talk about it a little bit, but you know, make sure that you let us know whatever you got, your Facebook page, your website for merch or whatever, man, and we'll attach it to this video, and so that folks can see it. So folks, just remember, you know, look on the bottom, and Mark's going to supply that information for us for Jag Panzer and any other things that you have going on. Please give all the guys, you know, Harry, Rickard, all the guys in the band our best. And thanks for coming on with us, dude.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what to do with, got tons of new merch, but trying to figure out what my last attempts at shipping to Europe have been a disaster. I had shipped off about 40 orders, and all of them got stamped with incorrect barcode. So I took them to the post office and said, this is your barcode. I brought them here, and you put the code on, and this is your error message. And well, it took me 3 months to get that straightened out. I had to write the Postmaster General a physical letter saying, what's the deal? Nobody's helping me with this. Till finally, that got the ball rolling, and a regional manager called me, and then they finally, so it was, you know, getting packages to Europe. The people got them 4.5 months later, which was just acceptable.
that's one of the things that we're dealing with, and that's one of the reasons why we can't really ship from here to Europe, man. It's just not going to be cost effective for anybody that's going to be getting the stuff. We can't go into into debt sending people merchandise. I wish things were different as far as that's concerned, but it's so much in shipping, it takes so much time to get the stuff over there to folks. Really very limited ways of tracking it and knowing where it is and that it's getting there safely and all that. So we haven't bitten off that. We're hoping to figure out some stuff for Europe, and we're not looking to make money on it, but we're just not looking to lose money on it. So if people are going to be doing stuff for us, we'll take very little on the, heck, we don't even necessarily need profit. We just want fans to be able to get good quality product that has Ashes of Aries on it, so they can, support us in that way.
That's my concern as well. Don't lose money, good quality product.
Yep. That's it, man. Obviously we're talking the same language here. So, man. Mark, again, thanks for coming on, man, and let's keep in touch.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks.
Awesome, dude. Thanks for the tips on the vacation spot now.
Yeah, I should work for their tourism bureau. It's a wonderful place.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
And Freddie will be having a beer with Rickard before too long, I'm sure. So
I want to see the beer.
If you like that Curacao liqueur, you can tour the factory down there. I guess they have all kinds of samples you can try, and they have all kinds of different flavors of it that they don't send off the island. And
sounds awesome.
That's cool. Very cool.
All right, dude. Thanks for joining us on another episode. And
cool. Yeah, this was awesome.
See you guys.
Okay. Bye.
Stop recording yet?
Yes, I have stopped recording.
It still says you're recording.
No, it says stop recording.